When I first became a Christian, the very first church I joined was a Southern Baptist church. Many years later, I kind of just claimed to be non-denominational Christian, but I tended to lean towards Baptist churches primarily because in the beginning it seemed like they were sticking to the Word of God. For me, back then, when I was going to join a church, or if I was going to join a church, it was just very important to me that they preached the Word of God and that they had good music. It was important to me. Today, obviously, as I've grown as a Christian, what I'm needing is really the Spirit stirring within me to do the things of Jesus Christ, to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. And I've seen the church, of course, go through some major changes really over the last decade, if not just the last couple of years, major changes. But what we're seeing in the Southern Baptist Convention in Nashville is just a small example, not a big example, just a small example of the failure of the Church of America. There's literally, if you look at their agenda, there is nothing for their annual meeting. There is nothing on there that prepares pastors, thousands of pastors from around the world to go back to their congregations and prepare them for the coming of Jesus Christ, or prepare them and teach them how to be the hands and feet of Jesus specifically because of the separation of the sheep and the goats, to be a part of the sheep. It's a huge deal. They're not doing it. Ultimately, if you look at the agenda, it's about politics, it's about saving face, it's about nitpicking about little rules and things like that. And really the only thing they're doing is they're having prayer and worship at the beginning and the end of each day, and one day they have a pastor coming to speak. So essentially what they're doing is they're saying they're putting on the Sunday show every day, and one day they're going to have somebody preach, but the rest of the time, politics, saving face, trying to scramble to save their jobs. And ultimately they're sending pastors back with this idea that, just your goal is to collect money, send a giant chunk of it to us, and put on the Sunday show. And we're teaching you that that's all you have to do. Now, in all fairness, one day they are talking about missions. But if you look at any Southern Baptist church or any Baptist church I've ever been to, again, I've not been to all of them, I've just been to a small handful of them. But looking at the Southern Baptist Convention leadership and looking at the churches I've gone to, they seem pretty aligned for the most part. Put on the Sunday show, send a few bucks to missions so you could say you support missions, and that's it. That's what they do. It's all about the Sunday show, preaching, you say some magic words, you're saved, and that's all you got to do. You don't have to be the hands and feet of Jesus. They never, ever talk about the separation of the sheep and the goats. Or the book of Acts, or if they do talk about the book of Acts, there's no Acts to follow up on. It's just, we taught on the book of Acts, now go get them, see you next Sunday. And, it's a massive failure. I can't believe, it's not even about the teaching of Jesus Christ at all. To spend 3 days with thousands of pastors from around the world in these leaderships to say, you did some praise and worship in the morning and in the afternoon, and one day you had a preacher preach, and one day you talked about missions for an hour. The rest of the time, rules, regulations, politics, I want to save my job, and now go put on the Sunday show and make sure you send a chunk of that money back to us. That's what it's all about. It's a massive failure, and it's just a tiny example in the world of massive failures of the church. It's sad. It's not at all the teaching of the Word of God. It's telling people about the Word of God, but it's skewing it inaccurately when it comes to the realm of salvation, and then it's also just not showing. My wife has a saying, I love this saying, sometimes she says it to me, which I hate it when she says it to me, but it's a great saying. Essentially, I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are too loud. I can't hear what you're saying because what you're doing is too loud, is ultimately what she's saying. It's saying one thing, but your actions show something totally different, which is what 99% of the churches in America are doing, and they're being taught from the leadership down. It's the shepherds that are causing the problems. The shepherds are teaching false doctrine to their congregations to be able to put on the Sunday show. Come to the Sunday show, throw a few bucks in the plate, say some magic words, and that is all you have to do. And enter into, heaven and receive a crown of glory for all that nothingness you did, all that selfishness you did, all those things where you were focused on yourself all week, and I want what I want. I don't care if it harms my neighbor. No, I'm not going to feed the hungry. No, I'm not going to clothe the naked. No, I'm not going to tend to the widows of the orphans. No, I'm not going to visit the sick or the prisoners. And as a result, they're going to be goats. They're teaching the world to be goats. When Jesus separates the sheep and the goats, a majority of church-going evangelical Christians in America are going to end up a bunch of goats because of the shepherds. It's sad. It's sad. And this convention is just a tiny drop in the bucket compared to what the world church is doing. It's really sad. So, I just got as they break out in their conference this week, that's what they're doing. They're saving face. They're trying to save their jobs. They're trying to make themselves look good. They're trying to jump up in political lives of political figures around the country to support them so that maybe they can, boost themselves. Then they put on the Sunday show, which is essentially just a bunch of roosters crowing like, check me out, cock-a-doodle-doo, look at me, check me out, everybody. Now go put on the Sunday show. Make sure you send me a big chunk of money in the end, and make sure you send a tiny bit of that to missions so you can say you support missions. But that's all we do. Sunday show, couple bucks to missions, big chunk to us. It's what it's all about. It's sad, but welcome to the Church of the Goats. Love to hear your thoughts on that. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel through Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.